So, have you ever wondered what it actually takes to be the absolute fastest in the world? Back in June 2026, the latest Ookla-related reports dropped a total bombshell, placing the Chilean port city of Valparaíso first among ranked cities globally for fixed broadband performance. But how exactly did a city famous for its funiculars and incredibly steep, challenging topography beat out the world's biggest tech hubs to claim this title? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going way beyond the headlines and the marketing hype. We aren't going to frame this as some sort of miracle, but rather as a layered causal system of physical infrastructure. To really demystify that exact world-leading measurement, we're going to take a physical journey, tracing a single data request from a living room device all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the request, move through the neighborhood, the city, the ocean, check out the measurement, and finally, look at the fragility. Basically, we're tracking a single data packet every step of the way. All right, Section 1, the request, devices and homes. We're kicking off our systems breakdown with a super simple everyday action right inside a Valparaíso home. Picture this. You're sitting on your couch and you click upload on a massive 4K video file, or maybe you just jump on a high-def video call for work. What physically happens the exact moment you press that button? Well, a tiny discrete packet of data leaves your device. It doesn't just vanish into some magical cloud, it actually starts a frantic physical race through a crazy gauntlet of hardware. Let's see how this builds up. Your data jumps from your device, rides across those invisible home Wi-Fi radio waves, hits your home gateway router, and then it slams right into a completely crucial piece of hardware mounted on your wall. That hardware, it's called the ONT, or ONU, the Optical Network Terminal. In plain English, this little box is the exact physical boundary where the digital electrical signals generated by your household electronics get translated into literal pulses of light. That's right. From this box onward, your internet request is traveling as actual flashes of light through fiber optic glass. Moving on to Section 2, the neighborhood and passive optical networks. As those light pulses shoot out of your house, they hit the street-level infrastructure, winding through Valparaíso's famously tricky, hilly terrain. And this right here brilliantly illustrates FTTH, or fiber to the home. What you're looking at is the PON, the passive optical network. The word passive is totally key here. It means the network uses unpowered glass splitters to route light from the street directly to your foundation. There are zero electronics needing electricity out there, on the utility pole or buried in the ground. It's literally just prisms splitting light, which makes the whole neighborhood distribution incredibly efficient and resilient. Now, here's where we need to make a really important distinction. What your specific access line can theoretically handle versus the shared capacity you're actually fighting for. Sure, high-speed subscriptions using modern ITU-T standards like XGS-PON give you immense theoretical max speeds to your living room. But in a passive optical network, you are physically sharing a centralized trunk of glass with your neighbors. So if everyone on your block is downloading massive files on a Friday night, you're all drawing from that shared PON capacity. Ultimately, you're heavily constrained by the provider's uplink capacity that connects your whole neighborhood back to the core. So where do all those neighborhood splitters go? They feed right into the OLT, the optical line terminal. You can think of the OLT as the neighborhood traffic cop. It gathers up all those chaotic light pulses from your block, organizes them, and hands them off to the provider's broader network. It is the physical bridge connecting your local street to the rest of the city. Which brings us to Section 3, the city, aggregation and competition. Our little data packet is leaving the quiet neighborhood OLT and diving into a fiercely competitive citywide aggregation layer. It is absolutely vital to understand that Valparaíso doesn't just have one magical city-owned super network. According to Subtel, Chile's telecommunications regulator, this world-leading ranking is actually the result of fierce private provider competition. We're talking about companies like Mundo, Movistar, Antel, VTR, and GTD, who have all aggressively overbuilt the city. This intense market structure is the real engine here, driving fiber penetration to a staggering 84.1% of national fixed connections by January 2026. Multiple providers fighting for your business is what built this infrastructure. Traffic flows from those local hubs straight into a core network operations center, hitting what's called a BNG, a broadband network gateway, or sometimes a network access server. Using standardized IETF routing protocols, this gateway checks your account, authenticates your subscription, and if you're cleared, it dumps your traffic onto the backhaul. The backhaul is basically this heavy-duty transport network that hauls your data right out of the city and onto Chile's massive national backbone. Next up, Section 4, the ocean. Submarine cable transit. Leaving that national backbone, our data packet races down the coast to a landing station, getting ready to leave the continent entirely. This is exactly where geography meets global connectivity. Back in 2019, this massive private project called the Curie Cable was successfully secured by the Chilean Navy, landing right at Valparaiso's Los Torpederos beach and linking Chile northward. But looking ahead to the future, there's the Humboldt Connect joint venture that formed in 2026. Now, it's incredibly important to clarify that the Humboldt cable, which is designed to blast 144 terabits per second straight to Sydney, Australia, is a planned reality for around 2028. It's not operational today, but it completely highlights the massive ongoing capital investments in the region's oceanic transit. While our packet is traveling under the ocean, we absolutely have to talk about latency. Latency is the actual physical time it takes in milliseconds for your data to reach an application server, say over in the US or Europe, and come all the way back. Put simply, no matter how huge your bandwidth pipe is in Valparaíso, you literally cannot break the speed of light and glass. The sheer geographic distance to those international servers strictly dictates your latency, and that heavily impacts your actual real-world experience, especially if you're gaming live or doing high-frequency trading. Moving to Section 5, the measurement. June 2026 snapshot. Now that we've mapped the physical pipes from your living room to the ocean floor, let's look at the specific measurements that put Valparaíso at the top of the world. 425.84 megabits per second. That is the exact reported, measured median fixed broadband download speed that put Valparaíso first globally among ranked cities in those June 2026 Ookla-related reports. Let's be really precise for a second. Median just means the exact middle value of all the user-initiated tests in that area. Half the tests were faster, half were slower. It's a fantastic metric because it stops those crazy extreme high or low outliers from totally skewing the overall data. We also have to explicitly decouple the glossy marketing brochures from the reality on the ground. Advertised speed is just the theoretical maximum your provider hopes to deliver under absolutely perfect conditions. But that measured median speed, that 425.84 Mbps, that's a time-specific snapshot of actual user tests from June 2026. And while these exact figures are reported measurements pending final primary source review, this snapshot absolutely proves Valparaíso's physical infrastructure is incredibly capable right now. Finally, Section 6, the fragility, constraints, and failures. To truly understand any engineered system, we have to look at how it breaks. Let's run this network in reverse to spot the physical bottlenecks. The sobering reality of a world-leading network is just how fragile it inherently is. A global #1 ranking can instantly collapse for you personally through a bunch of different failure paths. International submarine route problems can sever connections entirely. The sheer distance to application servers creates latency you just can't avoid. Or what about a backhoe accidentally digging up a national trunk fiber? That's arguably the natural predator of the internet right there, and it causes massive outages. Congestion on your shared neighborhood pond slows everyone down. A local power loss takes out the provider's active electronics. Or, honestly, the most common culprit? A brilliantly fast fiber connection gets completely choked by a weak, outdated Wi-Fi router sitting in your living room. And there's a really important physical and statistical reality here, pointed out by Mayor Camila Nieto. Despite this amazing aggregate citywide ranking, unequal access still persists across Valparaiso's incredibly difficult topography. Think about it. Tests are usually run by users who already have high-speed subscriptions in well-connected neighborhoods, which can totally introduce measurement bias. A median city speed is just a snapshot. It doesn't mean every single house on every single steep hill is getting perfect, identical access. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway of this explainer. We've traced the light from the ONT, through the neighborhood pond, past the city's gateways, and deep into the ocean. We've seen the immense private investment and those wild Ookla measurements. But if a city's internet ranking relies on such a delicate chain of physical infrastructure, subject to everything from Wi-Fi limits to measurement bias, we really have to ask, what does a global #1 title actually guarantee for the average household? It definitely proves the ceiling is incredibly high, but your daily reality? Well, that still depends entirely on the strength of your weakest physical link. Thanks so much for exploring the real infrastructure behind the headlines with us.